The Artemis Generation. How humanity returns to the moon permanently. For more than half a century, the moon has been empty. Humans walked across its surface, planted flags, collected rocks, and then left. The footprints remain. The machines slowly died, and the silence returned. But something is changing. This time, humanity may not be going to the moon simply to visit. We may be going there to stay. A new generation could grow up seeing the moon not as a distant destination, but as the first world beyond Earth, where humans maintain a permanent presence. They could become the Artemis Generation, children born on Earth who grow up knowing that somewhere above them, humans are living beneath another sky. And if that happens, the moon will no longer be the end of the journey. It will be the beginning. The first permanent lunar settlement would probably look nothing like the futuristic cities imagined in science fiction. There would be no enormous glass towers, no streets filled with traffic, no sprawling metropolis beneath the stars. Instead, the first settlement might be small, isolated, and almost completely mechanical. A handful of habitats, power systems, scientific laboratories, communication towers, mining equipment, rovers, landing pads, and somewhere beneath the surface a network of protected living spaces. Because the moon is beautiful, but it is also one of the most hostile environments humans have ever attempted to inhabit. There is essentially no atmosphere, no breathable air, no global magnetic field protecting the surface from radiation. Temperatures swing violently between sunlight and darkness. Micrometeorites constantly strike the surface, and the lunar soil itself is a problem. Regolith is sharp, abrasive, and capable of getting into seals, machinery, and equipment. The moon does not provide a natural environment for human life, so the first lunar civilization will have to build one. The most important resource may not be somewhere obvious. It may be hidden inside permanent shadows. Near the lunar South Pole, enormous craters contain regions that sunlight barely reaches. These permanently shadowed areas can remain extraordinarily cold. And inside some of them, scientists have detected evidence of water ice. Water changes everything, because water is not just something humans drink. It can become an industrial resource. It can be purified, stored, used for life support, and through electrolysis, separated into hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen can support breathing. Hydrogen and oxygen can become rocket propellant. Suddenly, lunar ice becomes more than frozen water. It becomes fuel, air, and infrastructure. A permanent settlement could potentially extract water from the lunar soil and shadowed regions, process it, and turn it into resources needed for expansion. This creates a strange possibility. The moon could eventually become a refueling station between Earth and deeper space. Spacecraft arriving from Earth could stop at the moon, collect propellant, load supplies, repair equipment, and continue outward. Mars would no longer be the first major destination after Earth. The moon would become the first stepping stone. But before any of that happens, humans must survive the lunar environment. Imagine waking inside a lunar habitat. There is no wind outside, no sound. The walls separate you from a vacuum. Every breath you take depends on machines. Every watt of electricity has to come from a carefully engineered power system. Every leak is an emergency. The habitat would likely operate more like a spacecraft than a house. Air would constantly circulate through filters. Carbon dioxide would be removed. Humidity would be controlled. Oxygen would be monitored. Pressure sensors would watch for tiny changes, and emergency systems would remain ready at all times. Because on the moon, The outside world is not merely dangerous. It is immediately lethal. A small breach could begin draining the atmosphere. A damaged spacesuit could become a death sentence. A failed power system could threaten heating, life support, and communications simultaneously. There is nowhere outside to wait for rescue. The lunar base must be capable of protecting itself. And this is why permanence changes everything. A temporary mission can bring everything it needs. A permanent settlement cannot. Eventually, the moon must begin providing some of its own resources. That means construction, mining, manufacturing, and energy production. Solar power will be essential, but the lunar night creates a major challenge. In many regions, darkness can last roughly 2 Earth weeks. Temperatures can plunge dramatically. A settlement relying entirely on sunlight would need enormous energy storage. The lunar South Pole offers an advantage. Some elevated regions receive sunlight for unusually long periods. A future settlement could position solar arrays where sunlight is available for much of the lunar cycle. Energy could then be transmitted through cables or other systems to habitats and industrial facilities. Nuclear power could provide another layer of reliability. The result could be a hybrid energy network. Solar when sunlight is available, nuclear when it isn't. Storage for emergencies, redundancy everywhere. Because a permanent civilization cannot afford a single point of failure. Eventually, the machines themselves would need to become increasingly autonomous. Imagine a fleet of robotic excavators operating outside the habitat. They collect lunar soil. They transport it to processing facilities. Other machines extract useful materials. Some material becomes construction feedstock. Some becomes shielding. Some becomes glass or ceramics. The settlement slowly begins manufacturing pieces of itself from the moon. This could be one of the most important transitions in human history. The first lunar habitats may arrive from Earth, but future habitats could increasingly be built from lunar material. Robotic systems could pile regolith around living quarters. Several meters of lunar soil could provide protection from radiation and micrometeorites. Eventually, habitats might be buried beneath the surface entirely. From above, the settlement could almost disappear. A few solar arrays, communication towers, industrial equipment, rover tracks. But beneath the ground, something extraordinary could exist. A network of pressurized tunnels, laboratories, greenhouses, workshops, storage chambers, sleeping quarters, perhaps even underground farms. A hidden civilization beneath the moon. And then comes the question that changes everything. What happens when children arrive? The first permanent settlement would be tiny compared with Earth. But its strategic importance could be enormous. Because for the first time, humanity would have a permanent foothold outside its home planet. And that changes the meaning of extinction. Earth will no longer be the only place where humanity exists. And after that, the solar system is no longer simply something we observe. It becomes somewhere we can live.